Chastan Brown has said yes to Florida State. Michael Langston is here to break it down. He's the senior recruiting analyst for Warchant.com, and Florida State adds a big piece to the puzzle for the old traditional signing period. Remember, Michael, when we used to get very, very busy in January and February? Well, Chastan Brown wants to honor the old times. What does Florida State get here in this four-star offensive tackle?
Yeah, very good guy in pass protect, pass pro. That's where he really excels. Very quick, athletic, does a great job of using his hands, really long arms, gets after it. I know his profile says a certain weight, but he's 6'7", 270. I've talked to Chaston, since him jumping on board with FSU. So it's 6'7", 270. He did tell me he wants to get the 290. He knows when he starts college ball. When he's enrolls in summer, he feels like his body's going to be at that 290 mark. That's where he wants to be. And that was part of the stuff on the official visit, that he wanted to spend a lot of time with the nutritionist program, all that stuff, to see what he needs to do to get to that point. But he is at 270 right now, but certainly a guy that they've liked for a while. Herb Hand personally recruited him. Obviously, he committed to Gus Malzahn and them at UCF when he was there. So there's a lot of ties, and actually, it might surprise some people that he committed before he even arrived for the official visit. He actually committed. He told me he committed actually the moment he decommitted. He knew that it was going to be FSU because of them having Gus Malzahn, Herb Hand, and he already had a really strong feeling about Mike Norvell and what they're doing. Even when we talked, he's like, this is going to be the rebuild class because we feel like we want to rebuild. We want to be the class that really rebuilds everything. And I think 2025, that's a nice stamp to put on, what they needed as far as getting certainly a coveted offensive tackle that can help you. It doesn't have to help you right now. It's one that you can develop into, certainly getting him ready for, that impact in his, in year 2 and 3s and 4, as far as his career. But overall, a guy that has tremendous upside as far as when you watch him in pass protection.
Yeah, so I'll eat this one. He's been a 4-star, a huge part of the cycle. He's officially listed as a 3 now, but this is a high-profile player, high-caliber player that Florida State is getting. Again, you can't replicate the size. He lists himself as 6'9" on his social media account, his personal social media, but most everybody has him at least at 6'7". So if you're worrying about the frame, obviously, for a Florida State offensive tackle, Florida State's done a good job this haul, Michael, in 2025 of bringing in transfer portal players that are plug and play, but then now obviously a couple of pieces on the offensive line that they're really excited about, both interior and also on the outside. It looks like from what was a mess of a 2-10 season, FSU has done quite a good job here of managing that mess and then capturing the energy of bringing Herb Hand in. Chastan Brown obviously has a UCF tie, but it seems like they've done a pretty good job here of converting the new energy of Herb Hand to mitigate a bad year, especially a bad year for the offensive line in Tallahassee.
Yeah, and I've studied this guy a lot. He's told me he's played against Usman Kromo a lot, because I almost forget that he's from the state of Georgia because there's such a UCF tie. I'm just telling Chaston that the other night that I always forgot that from Warner Robins, you played in the Peach State, but he's played against some really good competition. And like I said, I mean, this is a guy that's been through the wars of that. That's a top team in Georgia. They're consistently pretty good, so they play pretty good competition. So he's going to definitely be battle tested, and certainly when you get the frame and the technique where you want it, I think he's a guy that's going to help. Certainly Herb Hand out a lot. And I always like when coaches have recruited a guy for a longevity, so they studied him and know him, and Herb and both Gus Malzahn have been very attached to this guy, especially Gus. I think even Chaston said like he was really one of the first guys to believe in him, and really he trusts him a lot. And I think that's a big part of recruiting when you're bringing a guy in. It isn't just, hey, we feel like you fit our system, but we really believe in you, and we trust you. And there has to be trust from both sides when you're taking a recruit. It can't just be, not everyone kid can be a blue chipper, top high 4-star. I mean, a lot of guys, you have to be sold on their skill and how they're going to project in the next level. And I think Herb Hand and Gus are really strongly sold on what this kid can do.
So we've got ourselves now, just recapping for Florida State's class. If you're looking at tackles, You've got Mario Nash on one side in the 2025 class, and now Chastan Brown on the other side. Don't know if they're going to play left or right. I'm just trying to bookmark it for Florida State the way they have a couple of interior offensive linemen like Sam and Thompson, who just signed. But you combine that with what they've done in the portal, and they brought in 4 new starters out of the portal. They're addressing the issue, Michael. They've got a couple of kids on campus that, maybe Herb Hand finds a little bit more of the Midas touch when it comes to development.
Mm-hmm.
For a player like a Jalen Early or a Lucas Simmons or an Andre Otto, a lot of players, Jonathan Daniels and Mondesi, TT. Florida State's got a lot of players that are younger that maybe Herb Hand can find a better fate for them than Alex Atkins did. But they've done a pretty good job here, considering that the offensive line was one of the worst in America.
It is, and that's the thing I think people forget, that they still have a lot of talent in that room. I'm very high on Lucas Simmons. I'm definitely very high on Jalen Early, who I think is going to, certainly have a chance to play early. A guy that there's several guys on the talent that they like, and then you have a guy that is known for development. This is what he does. This isn't like kind of, you hope it's going to work. I mean, it's like this guy everywhere he's been, his development has been strong at the offensive line, and they happen pretty quickly and early. So with his development, so I think overall you have to be excited. And you added 4 guys from the portal that they're going to be helping you right now. That definitely insert starters where they've started for the different programs, and some of them with high marks. So I think overall you've certainly addressed that offensive line, and then you just got to piece it all together of which group works the best when you hit that 2 deep, of what rotation works the best. But overall, I think they have a ton to work with. It's certainly much better than what it was when they first started, where we didn't even know who was going to be on the offensive line starting this year. Now you kind of can dictate and make out like what a projected depth chart would look like. I think overall the spring will be very exciting to see which ones jump out. But overall, I think it's extremely encouraging with what they did in the portal, and then certainly what they did in the high school market. The guys you listed, like Marcus Nash, and certainly now Chastan Brown, gives you a lot of diversity with the different skills that they have, that they can come in and develop at their own speed. These guys don't feel like they have to go in there and be inserted in too early where they're not ready, and that's kind of the big thing.
Yeah, exactly. They have time to develop now because of the work you did in the portal, so you don't have to rush a kid's development and play them out there too soon. I know that's for a couple of kids that have played at Florida State the last few years. I know the coaching staff laments that they had to do that because it might have put them in a position where they got injured, and maybe they wouldn't have if they were allowed to develop for a couple of years. So, Michael, in 2025 class, is Florida State done? Is there going to be an 11th hour, last minute surprise, or do you think that Florida State's likely done now in 2025?
I do never say they're done. People always ask me that. I'm never going to say they're done with anything. Certainly, there's several other guys that are involved with 4-star DB. Onis Cannonbelly is one. Cannonbenny is one that they certainly like a lot. Another top offensive lineman is Ty Haywood. I think that's training to Michigan, but you never know when these kids are going to pop in, and you have till that signing day, in February. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. Do I think it's likely that this is probably one of the last ones? I would say yes as of now, but I never close the door because they're always involved with different guys. You don't know if they're going to jump in there with a high school linebacker that maybe didn't sign, that, or maybe just feels like, hey, this staff I connect better with. Maybe I need to go check them out. So we could see something, and that's another thing that we're looking for when you go this weekend. You're looking to see if somebody just pops in there that maybe 2025 that you didn't expect. But overall, if I was projecting making a decision, I would say this would probably be the last one. But overall, it's never closed until that date hits.
Well, Florida State got themselves another good offensive lineman in this class. He'll be in the fold here soon. And the class, for what it was, for the fire that was the Florida State football program in 2024 in the fall, they did a great job of closing strong. And we'll see what they do as we build towards 2026. A lot of content over on the premium recruiting board, a lot of content on warchant.com as it relates to how this new staff is building inroads with 2026 recruits. Michael has you covered there. Sign up at warchant.com today to get all of that information as it happens. Florida State has junior days galore into early February. And then we get into some more stuff in the realm of recruiting, spring camp visits during practices. I know Mike Norvell likes to do that as well. Michael, we've got a lot of content coming in recruiting in the next couple of months.
We do a lot of stuff coming up. Certainly, we'll have my 2026 hot board that I'm already full-fledged into. We'll have a lot of that. You'll have these spring visits. You don't have a spring game, which I don't hate because it's a lot of work for recruits. But overall, it's going to be a lot of recruits visiting when they start spring practice. You have team practice coming up, tour duty. I think you guys get to see that at the end, around the end of the tour duty. So that's coming up. It's going to have a lot of coverage. There's so much coverage, guys. I mean, this is the best time to sign up because there's so much recruiting. There's so much team stuff. And then if that isn't exciting enough, you get the spring portal window opening up in April. So that's going to be one that really heavy focus on because I think FSU is going to probably add like between 4 to 6 new additions there to kind of finish off, or even add more than that depending on what they lose. So I think a lot going on, a lot of football, a lot of team, a lot of recruiting. So yeah, this is the time to sign up.
And as you can see at the bottom of the screen, it's $1 for 1 week of access to warchant.com, followed by half off your annual subscription. Sign up today. Michael, we really appreciate the time, and thanks for all your work on the 2025 class. We'll see if there's a surprise between now and then, but if there isn't, we appreciate all the coverage.
You got it, bud.
All right, we'll talk to you everybody next time right here on Warchant TV. Make sure to hit the subscribe button on the way out.